Well, welcome to Mufc Realist TV and Transfer Corner with my honorable guest. Sorry for we are late. Anil Kandola, welcome to the house again. It's been a hot minute. 2 weeks ago, to be honest. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good, thank you. I think 10:30 as early as possible for us, isn't it, Mick? So this is
It
I'd still count this as the crack of dawn, to be honest. But no, happy to be here. Thanks for having me again, and I'm looking
Listen,
forward
mate,
to getting stuck
no
in.
worries, no worries. We declared like 2 weeks ago when we had the first podcast that we are not morning persons. So some people might take a cup of coffee, put 3-4 spoons of plums of sugar in it, and make sure that the spoon is standing straight, right?
Exactly that.
Guys, welcome back. So listen, while we are preparing, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Smash a like, it's free, and we will be back in 10 seconds after this intro or commercial, some people might say. See you later in a bit.
Has the Premier League ever been more challenging?
Welkom. Dit is mijn home and I want to achieve success. Okay?
And when we talk about achieving success, Anil, 2 weeks ago when we were talking, a lot of things have changed. You know, we were sitting and, debating like, what is Erik ten Hag's targets? And lo and behold, 2 weeks later, it's a totally different story, isn't it?
Oh dear, I think it's just a massive example, really, of what it's like to follow Manchester United. Forget from a journalistic point of view, but just as a fan, it's difficult, to be honest. I think obviously the business going on around Manchester United in terms of the opponents, with Arsenal making big movements, the likes of Manchester City and even Liverpool making a signing or two. So it can be quite frustrating. But look, we know we're Manchester United and we know we don't do anything in June. I think all the owners, all the players, all the potential signings, they're still on holiday. So once they come back on July 1st, I think that's when we'll start to see a little bit more movement in the right direction.
God, we need a holiday too, don't we?
Exactly.
But also shows you the point. Also shows you the point how fluid the transfer market is. Like, it's many moving components. Anything can happen. Like, we just report on the news and the transfer news, but we don't control the weather. Like, that is, no one for me that works as an intermediate in the market. Like, wow, it is crazy. Like, how deals are connected with each other. We're going to talk about that later because, we see that, Declan Rice to Arsenal is kind of imminent very soon. But I'm going to talk to you about how that affects Manchester United as well. So cool. But anyway, I'm glad that you're seeing you okay. Myself, I'm also freshly woken up, to be honest, 1 hour ago. But it's been mad season. So I'm going to kick off because I'm pressured with time, but I just want to shout out to the community. Let me see who's in the VAR room. I call them the VAR room. So let me see. You're going to give a shout out to our community. Edward Reed is in the house. Stephanie Griffith, one of our moderators, in the house. Mo Hamza from Qatar. Eid Mubarak, brother. Big up early gang. Stephanie Griffith, Edward Reed. Everyone is in the house. Smash the like, people. Yes. And subscribe if you haven't done that. Buckle up for the show. Neil Driscoll is in the house as well. Stephanie Griffith saying good morning to everyone. Let's get ready to rumble. Yeah. Sajiv Verma from Sydney. Good evening, he says. So for some people, Anil, it's evening. Some people, it's morning. And there he disappeared. Yale Marling is in the house. Zorro is in the house as well, saying good evening. Well, we lost our co-host here. Hopefully he will come back anyway. Good morning, guys, says Ashid. Chris Breeze is saying good morning, Mick. And Anil, you disappeared, but while Anil disappeared, I will shout out everyone. Hopefully he will come back. Maybe had some technical issues. Takeover updates. We will dive into that as well, but we are here to talk about the transfer markets. Morning, Anil. Where did you go? We have to believe, says Stephanie Griffith. Frustration is an understatement. Absolutely correct. Yeah. I mean, by default, by being a Manchester United fan, we are used to being frustrated. It's been 18 years diabolical run by the Glazer family, but hopefully that's coming to an end as well. And we're going to dive into the budget and a little bit of the takeover. Jeff Bezos is in the house. He's back.
Apologies, slight connection problems, but I think we're okay now, Mick, so we should be good to go.
We are good to go. Jeff Bezos, actually, from Amazon here in the house. Wow. Most important thing that the takeover, all the transfers should be put on hold and that the takeover is complete. 100%. It is of Gordon is in the house as well. Hi, Mick. Hi, you, Gordon. Irfan is also in the house. I'm from Mauritius in Africa. God, Anil, we have such a broad community of Manchester
It's
United
brilliant to see, mate.
supporters.
Honestly, it's really, really good to see. And the thing that, pardon the pun, that unites everyone is Manchester United, isn't it? And it's great to see the community that you've built
Yeah.
here, Mick. And hopefully we can give some information today
Yeah.
that's going to at least brighten up a few of them the moments today that we
100%.
can all have together.
We have even a visitor from Harry Potter's Chronicles, Lord Voldemort. Say morning. Join the tribe, mates. Definitely. More Hamza we have believed, but these greedy glazes should be moving fast. We will talk about that as well. Gordon, morning to you. Keep believing, everyone. These things must change soon. Maybe signing starting tomorrow with luck. Yes, we're going to talk. Where's Jarvis? Jarvis is not part of this show today. It's me and Anil Kandola from Talk Sport. Let's dive right into it. Let's talk about the takeover and the budgets, because I want to sort of iterate that we are getting very, very close. Like, when Bloomberg comes out, I mean, that I've been doing my separate independent podcast regarding this as well. But when the heavyweights comes out, like Bloomberg, like Reuters, like Bazinga and all that stuff, and also you have the likes of ex-player and pundit Rio Ferdinand saying it's Qatar, then I feel Qatari, Habibi. How about you?
Yeah. I think it's the same, to be honest. We can all obviously potentially be a little bit wary, shall we say, of certain media outlets and stuff reporting, whether it's good or bad, wherever you sit on the side of each respective fence. But I think when, as you say, the companies and business organizations like Bloomberg even touch a story like this, they're not in the same industry as we are. It's not about views, it's not about numbers for them, it's about pure reporting. And they're not going to go with something without obviously solid information. And like you alluded to, the Rio Ferdinand thing, although some people might think, well, it's only an ex-player, but this was the same Rio Ferdinand who broke the Ronaldo news before any of the main media outlets. So it's a really important thing that we need to look at the types of people and organizations / platforms that are reporting Qatar. It's a situation, I think, really where we are probably now in the end game. I know these fans listening to this now are going to be so frustrated because all they've heard, which I've got frustration with as well, is every single day it's, we've got an announcement coming today. We've got an announcement coming today. But like you've just said, Mick, just be a little bit patient. I think things will happen if we don't know exactly what's going on behind the scenes. But as I say, this would be a situation where I'm very hopeful and optimistic that Manchester United will be Qatari.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. I mean, you don't downplay Aaron Ben-Sen from Reuters. If you know Aaron Ben-Sen, he's the guy, in merger and acquisition. So basically these when the business world starts talking, they had no dog in the fight regarding the transfer market or anything else.
Exactly.
And you are working as a journalist as well. You have your ears on the ground, of course, representing Talk Sports and stuff like that. So the thing that British media has been doing, it's been diabolic according to the fans' opinions. Or it is they're kind of missing the gravy train, because as soon as the new ownership comes in, all that gravy train will be gone. Because for years they've been feeding information from club officials, and barring that the Qatar is coming in, they will do a 100-day review regarding the management above Erik ten Hag and do a restructure. So there is a thing that you got to be mindful of, if you are in today's social media journalism, in a way that you live on the clicks, you live on everything else, you live that people are paying you publication fees, like membership fees to read. If you're not all of a sudden going to get information from the club, I think that your line of business is in jeopardy. And that's why we're seeing a lot of towing that keep it British, Sir Jim Ratcliffe in a way. That's just my take on it. Yeah. But anyway, I want to move on forward, because Stephanie Griffith, she asked a question the other day on another channel. What do you think will happen? First takeover announcement or first summer signing, Anil?
Oh, that is a good question. Do you know what? That's thrown me off a little bit, Mick, because I haven't thought about it. Like I say, it's a great question there. I think a player will come in before the announcement of the takeover. I think there are one or two deals that are at an advanced stage, I'd say. And they are obviously going to be just trying to sort out the fine lines. Obviously, Mason Mount, who I'm sure will be probably cropping up in this conversation, which we'll get to a little bit later on. But, you know, there are one or two names out there that I think are very close. And obviously with a takeover, I was just about to say Qatari takeover, but, you know, we've got to do it how we need to do it, Mick, and put it down the line. But, you know, with a potential takeover, it's not just going to be, oh, look, it's done, the papers, so to speak, have been signed and it's all going to come out. This is a massive, massive moment, not just in Man United's history, not just in football history, but in the history of sport altogether. This is one of the biggest sports clubs in the history of the whole aspect of sport. So this isn't just going to be a tweet. This isn't just going to be a quick announcement like a player's been released, you know, a short 3-paragraph article. This is going to be a monumental announcement. And we know if the Qataris are successful, they're not going to do anything that is going to be low key. They're not going to do anything that's going to be just casual. They want to have everything big, bold, and the best. Precisely.
Bold italics.
Precisely. That's exactly how they're going to want to do it. So, like I said, stuff like that, and the bigger the wait, shall we say, the longer the wait, the bigger the reward will be, I think. So yeah. Although, you know, I think although all of us as Manchester United fans want several signings, probably even 4 or 5 signings to help Erik ten Hag, I think we'd all prioritise the takeover, wouldn't we? Because we know long term that's going to be the thing that really puts Man United back to where they belong. But I do think probably a signing will come just before the official takeover announcement.
Yeah. What do you say? Short-term gains? No, for long-term gains and short-term pains. That's what we're going to focus on because it's about to happen very, very soon. That's what I believe as well. Yeah, yesterday they had the AMG meeting as well in New York. So there was kind of where the shareholders, the minority shareholders, had the chance to vote for the executives to stay on or be absent or you know, or deny kind of thing. So we're still waiting. So I was kind of going over an article what the Manchester Evening Post was writing as well. I think it was Samuel Lockhurst. I think it was quite interesting. I covered that as well. But there's a thing that, you know, the minority shareholders is challenging in arbitration and court of law. Like, you know, if this takeover is taking place with the Ineos because they own 31%, majority of the 31% of the Class A shares, like, you know, and the 69 has been sold off. Like, in order for 100% sale, like, you know, just remind yourselves that Yasim is buying Sheikh Yasim 92 Holdings. They're buying 100% and pledging the funds to the infrastructure and everything else. So it's quite interesting. But in order to do so, you need to acquire first the majority of the Glazers shares. So this is what's been confusing the people, like, you know, and I get it. Like, as a fan, Anil, as a fan, it's frustrating to have the takeover looming and going into the transfer market. So it's like if you're suffering from anxiety, you know, and depression, this is kind of a double whammy now, like, because most of us thought that this would be done and over by Q2, like, you know, in what they were saying by latest in April. But one thing that we know is that the Glazers like to drag the feet. They are never fast decision makers, even in the transfer market. Because in the transfer market with the Manchester United, everything needs to go in a chain of command of sign off, and that's what it's been taking so long, right? So even if Ten Hag wants a player, goes to Murta has to sign it off, and then it goes to Joel Glazer, and then it goes to a chain of command of sign off because the deal is approved. But okay, one interesting thing that I want to touch base with you, like, you know, and your thoughts and opinion, is the overall transfer budget. You know, since the financial reports came out, we've seen that. Well, anyway, there was rumors and reports that we have 260 million pounds to spend, barring that as of the 30th, the balance of the credit line is coming down to 40 million instead of 0. And we are in Champions League. We won the Carabao Cup, and there was investments pledged by Bank of America, by Manpower Planning and Budgeting last, I think it was in November. So barring that we have that, Anil, the takeover, I mean, clearing the FFP, that's just a bonus, right? Clearing the debt if Sheikh Yasim comes in. But barring that makes sense. Like, but as these funds are available according to the financial report at the 30th, which is tomorrow. So that plays a little bit of a hint that the transfer market, international transfer markets, opens up on the 1st, right?
Yep. Yes. Do you know what, Mick? It's such a difficult industry to work in, isn't it? Because you look at all of the contrasting posts and reports in terms of Manchester United's budget? Is it 100 million that they've got to spend? Do they have to sell most of their players and their squad to raise funds so they can back Erik ten Hag? Have they still got the credit loan that people were reporting about? It's really difficult, isn't it? It's like I say, it's quite hard to sort of mask your way through it and work through all the information that we're getting told. But I think it's a situation where, look, ultimately the takeover, whether we like it or not, is looming in the background, as you say.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for Manchester United fans in terms of the Qatari takeover, look, we're all ecstatic to hear about the new state-of-the-art stadium, the new state-of-the-art facilities in terms of training ground and stuff like that. But the biggest thing for all of Manchester United fans, irrespective of who you want to be in as the new owners, is to clear the debt. The debt is just the epitome of what the Glazers have done in their time as Manchester.
Oh, you went on mute.
There we go. We all good?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Yeah, lovely stuff.
You cut up the fight.
I was in full flow there, mate. We're not having much look at it, but look, we'll get straight back into it. I think, as I say, the debt is exactly a mirror image of what the Glazers have done to Manchester United. Just rack it up with loads of debt, not any money into it, not care for it whatsoever, and really, as I say, put Manchester United in a place where they can progress. But we look at it, and if the Qataris come in, they'll clear the transfer. I mean, the debt, which will also help the transfer budget immeasurably. It will almost get to a figure where you can't quite believe it in terms of clearing that debt. But look, we're in a situation now where things are very difficult. Even if the reports that claim Manchester United over £250 million spent, excluding the extra £100 million potentially from sales, it's 100%. Going to be very difficult, as you say, Mick, because eventually it's going to have to come down to a hierarchy at Manchester United who do not want to spend any money because of the takeover. It might get through Erik ten Hag, it might get through Murta and co, but it will eventually, as you say, go through to an owner of Manchester United who is not going to sign off on this, not necessarily because they're saying no to prevent Erik ten Hag, but just because they're not focused on that. They're not going to be worried about making signings. Realistically, if you're on the verge of making $1 billion each with your family and all your brothers and sisters, are you going to care about Erik ten Hag wanting to sign Mason Mount for 45 million quid?
Makes logical reasoning sense.
Yeah, it's not.
You're adding on something a valid point, like why we haven't seen any transfer signings as of yet, because they are selling, right? Why would you care about the transfer market, right? Some people are saying by the 30th is fine, they're cool, but rest assured that Murta and ten Hag, they have already planned and aligned the ducks in a row and speaking to the agents and the intermediates. And once the first is triggered, like once the international window is open, the domestic has been open, of course. That's why you've been speaking to Mason Mount and stuff like that. But once the money is there, as what you've seen on the 30th, we can start making signings. We can start making moves, right? So I would just say, guys, take a motion sickness pill. We've seen this before. And, that's what we say. Long-term gains is to sort of get the new owners and get a little bit of a TLC, tender love and care. So I'm excited. I'm getting giddy. But in a way, what Stephanie Griffith say, takeover and transfer could be interlinked then. Yeah, in a way.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Cool. Listen, let's move on from this. Jarvis is in the house. One of my co-hosts as well, saying good morning to you, Jarvis, as well. Hope you're doing fine. Carlos is also in the house. Top of the morning to you, all of you. Top of your morning. And Eid Mubarak, because it's Muslim Eid Mubarak in the Islamic world as well. So listen, done and dusted with the takeover. We're just going to get giddy, shake that bid, shake Yasim, shake that bid. Listen, let's talk about the gold situation, because Onana is kind of reporting edging closer to sign up with Manchester United. We've seen reports that the sporting director of Inter Milan and his entourage is flown down to England to speak to the club. And Onana is a goalkeeper that ten Hag knows well. He spent 3 years there, left on a free. So Inter is selling him on a profit for 40 million, right? And we also seen that shambles with the De Gea contract in the ether. But for me, they offered him a contract, De Gea. It's been on the table for quite a while. He just didn't want to sign it. And finally, when he agreed on it, the club didn't sign off it and said, no, we're not, ten Hag apparently said, no, I don't want to sign it. That tells you that, and we're speaking to Onana, that tells you that David De Gea is out of the door. What's your thoughts and opinions?
Yeah, this is quite an interesting one at the moment, Mick, in terms of the goalkeeper situation. Look, it's been rambling on for quite a long time in terms of De Gea. We all know he's a legend of the club. Let's make no bones about it. But in the modern day game and the way that Erik ten Hag wants to play and the build-up play that he wants to have from starting from the goalkeeper, David De Gea looks like he's surplus to requirements. But, you know, Flex, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Flex. He's a massive Manchester United voice and a
Yeah,
podcaster.
of
And he
course.
was on, yeah. And he was on TalkSport last night. And I was working on the show, actually. And he was actually discussing the De Gea situation. I think he absolutely nailed it on the head. He said, look, if you think De Gea deserves to be moved on because he's not quite at the level that Manchester United need to be, then that's perfectly fine. I completely agree with that. But as Manchester United fans, we should not be coming and almost laughing in the face of David De Gea at the fact that Manchester United have made a U-turn on the contract. At the end of the day, no matter what our personal feelings are, and to be honest, I'm in that camp as well. De Gea, as I say, is a legend of the club. He's probably top 3, top 4 Manchester United goalkeepers of all time.
Yes.
That's where how highly I'd rank De Gea. But look, the game evolves. The modern day football will always keep going, and that train won't stop. And if you don't get on it, you're going to have to get off. And this situation with De Gea, he's going to have to move on. But you know, it's really interesting with Onana. I think one thing as well to try and remember at least is, look, the De Gea situation, I think it's been made quite clear, as you say, with Erik ten Hag at least hesitating to sign that contract to keep him at the club. But also, we need to be very careful that we don't completely cut our ties with De Gea, because then if we look across the pond or across the country, shall we say, over to Italy, and we look at Inter Milan, if they know that we're in a position where we don't actually have a first-team goalkeeper and we're going for Onana, this Manchester United tax that everyone talks about will come back into play. They're going to look at Manchester United and go, well, hang on a minute. They've just got rid of their goalkeeper who's been their number one for the best part of 10 to 15 years. They're now in desperate need of a goalkeeper. We're going to add another 15 million. If you don't pay that extra 15 million to the already,
would you say then, if we take Onana, do you say the Inter Milan will go and swoop in for De Gea on the free?
Potentially, it was put to me yesterday as a mere suggestion from one of my sources. No concrete information, but Chelsea are obviously going to be interested in a goalkeeper. Could De Gea potentially make the move the other way? I know Man United tend to sign the Chelsea players.
Todd Bowley comes in there,
and you never know. Todd Bowley likes the big names, and De Gea is a big name, whatever you think about him. But you know, also, one thing, just before we move on to Onana specifically, De Gea is, and I've been told by concrete sources, he is desperate for a move back to Spain. He really wants to go back to his homeland.
He's got his daughter there, you know.
Exactly. And look, at the end of the day, we're human beings, and if we want to move back home for whatever reason, I can completely understand that. But unfortunately, there's no moves that are coming in for him.
No, but I have a very close source also to that whispered in my ear to say, you know, the family situation played a big part of De Gea not signing the contract. It's not been about the money, right? If you look at it, like, you know, his missus, his wife is in Spain. He's totally here alone. He got a newborn daughter last year as well, if you remember. So that, you know, being away and being a father plays a big part. Like if you can walk away for free. One thing that Manchester United wanted to sort of lower down his wage bill, like from 375 to 200, and he's like, okay, well, I'm happy here. On the other hand, family is important as well, so perhaps I can stay here and take a pay cut. But at the end of the day, his heart was not really in to stay, because he wanted to, as what you say, wanted to play in Spain or closer to home. And even Saudi Arabia was coming in and offering big money. So at the end of the day, like, you know, he's been a loyal servant to the club. As what you said, the game has evolved, but you got to look at the player situation, what he wants as well. I always put myself in the player's shoes as well. So, and don't forget about the broken fax machine 2015 either. So you got to ask about the loyalty as well.
Nick. Very good point. That's true. Yeah. I think, like I said, it's time for De Gea to move on. I think we can all agree on that. He's a massive legend of the club, as I've said 100%. Many times. He's probably top 3 goalkeepers of Manchester United history. That's how high I'd regard De Gea. But look, like we said, the times are moving on. The game's evolving, and it's time for someone like Onana to come in, who's incredible with his feet. He almost plays higher than a centre half at times because he's that comfortable with the ball. He can break the lines with his passes, and he can go long as well in a more traditional sense. He's a brilliant goalkeeper. Shot stopping isn't as strong as De Gea's, I'll be honest. But look, he's a goalkeeper that prevents the shots from even coming in the first place, which is something that De Gea was under criticism for. But to round the goalkeeper chat off, Mick, I think Onana will come in, and probably in the next week or so. I have been told that talks are advanced in terms of the interest of Manchester United's perspective in Onana, and as we know, it looks like De Gea will be moved on. So,
Yeah.
Onana, Manchester United may have a new number one very, very soon, mate.
I'm interested. I'm intrigued. At the end of the day, thank you, David De Gea. Like, I'm a big fan of you.
Absolutely.
100% club legend. But we're going to sing, oh, Nana, what a save. Oh, Nana. Yeah, that's my name. That's my name. Rihanna's song, right? Now it's time to move on. But because at the end of the day, indication of a sale of Manchester United, you can also see in the fire sale of 13 players been put on the list.
Yeah.
And one thing is for sure, if that was the Glazers in charge, they would never approve that 13 players because, they're bone collectors. They like to keep and inflate that squad because at the end of the day, that's part of the overall club evaluation, how much the club is worth. And that is kind of the salaries of the valuation and the worth of the players. But listen, cool. We covered De Gea, we covered Onana. It's getting close. Sources are saying that he's keen to join. We are keen to have him. Mason Mount and Caicedo is an interlink. Interesting story as well. Is that a little bit of a gamemanship? Because Mason Mount has been rumbling. That's sort of an domestic transfer that you can do, but also plays with, the, what do you call it? The homegrown talent quota as well. Kind of one of the reasons why I also in for Mason Mount. But Mason Mount in and tenhag system makes sense because he's so good off the ball as well. And he's very high, hard-working, press resistant.
Yeah.
But Chelsea, on the other hand, if you look at it, Anil, they're desperate to move on the transfer market. They did spend about almost 600 million last season. They are heavily scrutinized as well. They need to sell, offload players because FFP does play a big part after the 30th, right? So how deals are interlinked and fluent means that, hey, if you, Manchester United, buy our player for 60 million plus 7 add-ons, what they wanted, we can then go and get our Moises Caicedo. And Moises Caicedo is on our target too.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Right. So I've had a good think about this Mason Mount and Caicedo links. And Mick, I'm not one to, just say my points quite mellow and I'll go for whatever I think's true. I think this is
that's why you're here. This is Realist TV. Call a spade a spade.
Exactly that. But no, look, I think it's very clear that Manchester United want Mason Mount. He's a target for Erik ten Hag, who he's chased actually since 2018. In his days in Holland, he looked at Mason Mount as a player that he can blossom and potentially make into a world beater. Fast forward a few years, Erik ten Hag's now at Manchester United, and Mason Mount's contract situation at Chelsea has now provided an opportunity for Erik ten Hag to finally get the link of Manchester United. Mason Mount, does it make sense? Does it sound good? Well, it remains to be seen. But I think with a situation like Mason Mount, as I say, Erik ten Hag's been chasing Mason Mount for a while, and it's a situation where it goes all the way back to 2018, as I say. And now we come back to the present day, and now Manchester United are in a position where Chelsea have almost said to Manchester United, you need to up the price a little bit. If you want Mason Mount, you need to put in an extra 5 to 10 million in terms of what you've already offered. And now Manchester United, believe it or not, I think have been quite clever here. They've been quite savvy in this transfer market, which isn't something like we can say very often. We're acting a little bit like a club in certain situations anyway, not across the board because it's still Manchester United. And when it comes to transfers, they're nothing short of an embarrassment, let's be perfectly honest. But in this particular situation, I do think that they're being quite savvy. They've turned around to Chelsea and said, look, if you don't accept our current bid for Mason Mount, we will look elsewhere. Not only will we look elsewhere, but we'll also be looking at your potential targets and signings. So Manchester United have almost said to Chelsea now, either you accept the bid and get most of the money for Caicedo, or we'll take all of that money and we'll add that extra 15 to 20 million that you want for Mason Mount, and we'll then put it in for Caicedo. So it's completely up to you, Chelsea. Although Chelsea have turned around potentially and said to Manchester United, the ball's in your court because you just need to put an extra 10 million. Manchester United have now passed the ball back into the other side of the court, which is Chelsea's side, and said, either you accept this bid or we'll take all that money, you keep Mason Mount, who really wants to leave Chelsea, and we'll go sign your target. So this is quite a savvy play from Manchester United.
It is a savvy play.
In a way. Sorry, Mick. Just to wrap up quickly, I don't think that this is concrete interest from Caicedo. I know that there is some admirers in the Manchester United board, potentially even including Eric Tenhag in Caicedo, but Manchester United are very, very clear and adamant they want Mason Mount. So I do think there's a bit of cleverness, there's a bit of savvy play, if we like, in terms of this potential deal. And I think it's all in aid of getting Mason Mount to Manchester United.
I think that ties into something else that we'll discuss. It's a mask, what you say, you know. It is a little bit of Matt Hargreaves started from Adidas, if you remember, like the chief negotiator, so replacing Matt Judge as well. So I think we're seeing the bare fruits of pure professional negotiations, because we've been shocking in negotiations. So this is kind of a little bit of, okay, hang on a second, you know, it's like I'm offering you, like, you know, for say, like, you know, yeah, I'll offer you to marry my daughter. You know, if you look at that way,
I don't think there's anyone I've ever done any work with, Mick, who have got better examples and metaphors than you do. I will give you that one. I will.
Yeah, 100%. I'm always thinking creative. Like, it's like I'm coming to you, like, you know, Anil, you want to marry my daughter, right? You know, if you don't take her, I will take your target. I will marry you.
I know it sounds crazy, Mick, but that is quite literally what it is.
Yeah.
Either you take
and you love this, and you dream girl is this girl, like you want to marry her, and you've been promised, if you're from that part of the world, right, when parents are marrying you away, you know.
Yeah. It's definitely a good situation. And just to obviously you know, interact with the comments that we've had, Neil has obviously just said, do I think Mount and Onana will be the first two signings? If I'm being honest, yeah, I do. Even if the Qataris take over tonight at 5 p.m, for example, I think that these two signings will be the first two signings. Yeah, I think these are the ones that are the most advanced. Although Rasmus Hojlund, there is interest in their concrete interest. They're still being absolutely ridiculous with their asking price. So I think Onana and Mason Mount, you know, give or take.
But you know why? You know why they are ridiculous in the asking price there, Neil?
Because they know Man United need a striker, right?
Yeah, but who is sitting there as a recruitment director at the moment?
Okay. I'm on your wavelength now, Mick. This is what I mean. Look how difficult it is for Manchester United to make movements. But look,
I'm gonna educate people. If you remember, you know how we got Con for Harry Kane for 85. The person that was sitting there, Leicester, is the same person now sitting at Atlanta. They're saying, okay, well, Manchester United, let's try.
They rub their hands together when they hear Manchester United come knocking, don't they? But, you know, I think, like I said, the midfield is a situation where I do definitely think Eric Ten Hag will address it. But one very final point, whether we like it or not, whatever your personal opinions are on Mason Mount, it's more or likely Mason Mount's going to be the midfield signing Manchester United and Eric Ten Hag will bring to Old Trafford.
100%. Guys, please, I don't know how many, 200 people in the views, in the chat. Smash a like, please. If you want to have a super chat, please feel free. We are just going to plow through because Anil has a very tight schedule. I think we have about 15 more minutes to spend. So it's fluid. It's very fluid. We spoke about Harry Kane last time. That was 2 weeks ago. And let's just debunk the myth that people were saying, well, Harry Kane doesn't want to move out of London. Harry Kane has his family. He's very close. Now we've seen them by Munich, as diluted before, because I had Graham Bailey on from 90 minutes about 2 months ago, and he was clearly saying that, you know, that's what we're saying as well, that Daniel Levy doesn't want to sell to top 4 club, but they're not.
Daniel Levy doesn't want to sell to any club.
No, he doesn't. He does not. I mean, basically, Bayern came in and they have spoken to Harry Kane, his entourage, his family. He's convinced to join the project, the Bayern Munich project. So they went in for an initial bid on 70 million, which immediately got rejected by Daniel Levy. So I was thinking, hang on, Daniel Levy, who the hell do you think you are? You know, you're risking a player, you're getting a manager, an unknown entity. I mean, we're talking about NG Postecoglou, right? It hasn't done much. He's coming from the Scottish Premier League. Fine by me, but it's not. You know, it's not that they are going serious. They get him. I think Maddison is coming into Tottenham as well.
Yes, that's been confirmed. James Maddison is a Tottenham Hotspur player as well. And, you know, that's an interesting point as well, because, look, he's an Englishman. He's obviously very friendly with Harry Kane in terms of the England setup. So maybe that could have been a a situation where James Maddison has joined Tottenham because a big factor is he gets the pleasure of playing with Harry Kane week in, week out. But look, with Harry Kane, Mick, it's a situation. Look, I think the only way Harry Kane will end up as a Manchester United player will be next year when he obviously is available to go on
for free.
And then he has effectively the decision of his life in terms of all the teams across Europe will want his signature to a contract that they're going to be offering. So look, Harry Kane to Manchester United. Look, I've been told by a very, very reliable source when it comes to Harry Kane, the same reliable source that told me throughout the year before, when he was heavily linked with a move to Manchester City. I think all of us, personally, including myself, thought after that overlap interview with Gary Neville that he was on the verge of joining Manchester City. And the discussion, was very advanced. Harry Kane was desperate to join Manchester City, and I thought myself that he would be joining Manchester City. But there was one source that I have that was absolutely adamant, told me throughout, simple, Harry Kane is not going anywhere. Come to the present day now, Mick, that same source is telling me the exact same thing. Harry Kane will not be going anywhere this summer. And there was also a situation where I was speaking to...
Is that from Harry Kane's camp himself? Like that, Harry Kane himself doesn't want to leave, or is it?
Yeah. It's a good question that you raised there, Mick. It's a situation, look, where I don't think, although Daniel Levy does get a lot of criticism in these situations, and some would say rightly so, I think that's by the by. But for now, this is a situation where Harry Kane, I think the only way he could potentially get a move right now is if he pushes for a move. And there were reports suggesting on the wires, and obviously a couple of people on social media reporting it as well, that Manchester United even said to Harry Kane, look, we would love to have you, but you need to make it clear to your current ownership that you want to move, not just to Man United, but to make it clear you want to leave. And Harry Kane isn't like that. For the good, the bad, the ugly. Harry Kane isn't the type of individual to kick up a fuss. He knows, and he's very understanding of the situation where he can still be at Tottenham next season. So why would he kick up a fuss now? And that's the issue that he has. And look, I think we've just got a comment in there, Mick. If you just could get that up, the latest one in terms of Harry Kane isn't ambitious. That comment right there is perfection, because I was always in the camp of, I felt very sympathetic for Harry Kane. He's a wonderful player, and he is one of the best strikers I think I've seen in the Premier League. He is right up there in terms of what he can provide on a football pitch. But it's almost got to the situation now, Mick, where I just do not feel sorry for him whatsoever anymore. If you have someone who's ambitious and who wants to win trophies, with all due respect, you should have left Tottenham many years ago. I know it's 100%. A different era now with Ange Postecoglou in and the likes of James Maddison, who I think is absolutely brilliant. This is a situation where you should have left before the season and not been in this situation now. So it's very difficult. But look, I don't think Harry Kane's going to be coming to Manchester United. And do you know what? Forget that. I don't think Harry Kane will be going anywhere. The only way he will be leaving that club is if he runs down his contract and gets to next season and he leaves a free transfer.
This is so nice to have you on, because you bring a different perspective to what I just said. On the other hand, he's interested to move to Bayern Munich. Otherwise they wouldn't have gone in and spoken to his entourage. Another thing, something that I always thought, that Harry Kane doesn't have the cojones, if you know what that means.
Yeah, it sounds funny to some, Mick, but
he doesn't want to kick up a fuss. Like, he's a very placid guy. Yeah. He just wants to play football, but he's surrounded by family members. His brother is his age, and they're all whispering in his ears. And then I don't think he has the balls to stand up to Daniel Levy to put a foot down and say, I want to go. I think he's easy. He's so easy. Why I say naive, to be blindsided. Oh, stay another year. You'll be the star boy. Okay. You will break records. But I do respect, if you have ambitions as a player, you will put your foot down and look at yourself and say, look, if I want to win trophies and silverwares, if that is my priority, I go, fine. But if I'm in my comfort zone, I'm the star boy here at Tottenham, perhaps I will stay and, don't kick up a fuss. Don't upset anyone, because it doesn't look like you want to upset anyone, right? Level-headed. So he will go on a free on next year, unless they force him to sign another contract. Because at the end of the day, Daniel Levy is all about finances, according to my opinion.
Yeah, sorry, Mick. Sorry to be seen distracted, but I've just gone onto my Twitter account because I've just got a message in terms of something. So, do you know how we were talking about Flex a little while ago?
Flex from United View,
yeah. On his own channel now, he's just got someone from Bloomberg on his profile, on his podcast. Sorry, and basically, this individual. Let me just get his name, David Hellier. I apologize for the pronunciation.
David Hellier. Okay.
But he has just said, essentially, he was told by sources that Jim Ratcliffe's bid is dead. So
Yeah.
I know we're not going to go down this breaking news route. We're not the Sky Sports of the world, Mick, but I think
Ladies and gentlemen, we
is
have
why-
breaking news.
that is why,
Breaking
Mick,
news.
You're brilliant at what you do. As I say, I haven't watched this clip because it's just under 2 minutes long, and obviously we still have a little couple of things to get through before we obviously end today. But that situation has literally just come through to me now. I've just read it now, that the exclusive from United View TV, who has had a member from obviously Bloomberg, has said, essentially, I was told by sources that Ratcliffe's bid is dead. So this could be a situation massively for a lot of people in this chat, a lot of fans around the world, that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is not successful with his bid. And I can see the smile on your face, Mick, because we can look at the names at the bottom of the list now. We can look at Onana, we can look at Mason Mount, we can look at Min Jae, and even Frankie de Jong. And we could have an opportunity now where all of these players potentially could come in, because the Qataris very seemingly seem incredibly close to buying Manchester United.
The thing is, I always said that, one of these publications would break the story. Either it would be exclusive to Bloomberg, or even it would be exclusive to Reuters, not to independent, not to to the British sports journalists whatsoever. And in a way, breaking news, maybe slow sports news, because I've been knowing this, because at the end of the day, I've been doing this podcast, and
it's been very difficult, hasn't it, Mick, to obviously get all the information that you and I sort of get told, and to operate in a way that you need to sort of keep level headed. So look, it's a massive hats off to everyone in this industry.
Yeah, true. It's everyone in this community, that's because we've been, everyone as a fan base, all we ever wanted was to get the Glazers out, right? And so Jim Ratcliffe's bit was a little bit of, I always smell the dead fish in the water, to be honest. There's something wrong, and the way he was constructing the deal was confusing the Glazers. And my sources has been
being perfectly honest, it was an embarrassment. And I'll go so far to say that Sir Jim Ratcliffe was a Glazer 2.0. And I know some Sir Jim Ratcliffe fans won't like me saying this, but he would have actually been worse than the Glazers, because at least at the very minimum with the Glazers, as Man United fans, we know what we get. We get nothing. We know how awful they are. Whereas Sir Jim Ratcliffe would have brought hope to Manchester United fans, which would have been heartbreaking to see them go through it again.
Yeah.
So
I just want to say, I mean, I just want to say that I've been knowing this for quite a while regarding Sir Ineos. I don't know why I'm calling Sir Ineos, but that's he's been out of the race for quite a while, right? But there's certain information that I'm getting from the inner circles within the 92 holding foundations, very, very high up there as well. I mean, almost like a signature on that 92 holding foundation company directors board of level, if you know what I mean. So but then within the community, of course, you speak to the likes of Phil Brown, within the Twitter spaces and stuff like that. People do, you don't have to be a journalist, you don't have to be an ITK, or it's all about connections and who you know and how you share the information. At the end of the day, we've all been working on with 1958 to get a full sale only. So I'm happy because if you look at paper, what 92 Holding Foundation is, the complete TLC package, what we're looking for. Absolutely. We want to be loved. We want to feel loved, and we want to feel special. We want to be pampered. And what he's offering is, God, I'm touched.
It's hard to describe, isn't it, Mick? And I can understand for many, many months how emotionally draining this has been, not just from a fan perspective, but also working in this industry. But look, we'll try and rattle through the rest of the topics that we have, Mick, because obviously
quick. This is kind of what everyone is hanging around for, because it's fluid. Hangs into the biggest signing in the transfer window is Sheikh Yassim's 92 holding. Absolutely. So I was hoping for the kit launch at least, to see the turnaround, they slowly turn around the kit. And then you see 92, number 92, Sheikh Yassim. Cool. Okay, Kim Min Jae. I want to quickly touch base on it because
I think you should lead with this one, Mick, because I know you've got a strong feeling about this one, haven't you?
Yeah. Yes. Kim Min Jae. I do think that if I look at it, Fabrizio Romano, Mr. Tappin himself, it ain't done deal until Fabrizio. He created this brand, but at the end of the day, Kim Min Jae has a release clause that's opening on the 1st. That's open for 2 weeks. Now, he came out yesterday to say that exclusive, that Kim Min Jae has agreed in personal terms, right? But a player can also agree in personal terms with multiple clubs. Now, I went and checked Christian Falk this morning, and you know who Christian Falk is, right?
Yeah,
Mr. Bayern, reliable himself. He the Bild, the Spiegel, nothing, no tweets, no exclusive, not to confirm that. So then I'm thinking, how much is agent using certain sources to get it out there, right? Because at the end of the day, if the release clause is open, all they have to do then is go and pay and trigger. But then it comes down to what Kim Min Jae wants, and we first got told, there was very, very close, almost a done deal with Manchester United. So there's no smoke without fire. I don't think so. And then it's interlinked with the funds that's going to be available tomorrow. So the meaning, as of the 1st, Manchester United can come in and just trigger that, meaning that already spoken to Kim Min Jae's camp. There wouldn't be any stories without any fire. That's my humble opinion. And at the end of the day, it comes down what the player wants, right?
Yeah.
Do you fancy to go? Do you fancy to go to Germany to eat some bratwurst and eat some good beer? No, or want to come to rainy Manchester and be a legend like your fellow Koreans, as well?
Yeah, exactly. It's a situation that you bring up there, and I believe. Please don't quote me on this one, but I do believe that JS Park was the only Asian to ever win the Premier League. Full stop. So what an attraction that would be for Kim Min Jae to come in and potentially be the second individual to do that at the same club. That is quite a brilliant story, and it's quite a historic one as well, to be honest with you. But look, we need to have a think about this. And do you know what, Mick? I did see Fabrizio's tweet in terms of personal terms agreed. And obviously, before we spoke, I thought essentially it was done because Manchester United, again, dragging their heels and hesitating. But it's a very good point that you make, because look, at the end of the day, Harry Kane, I've been told this week, and reports are suggesting that he's agreed initial terms with Bayern Munich. But we both know that that's not going to happen. Personal terms, the two very different things in a transfer, if we want to sort of, round them up, as you know, Mick, is the personal terms and then the terms agreed between each of the clubs involved. So this is a situation now where, funnily enough, I remember back in the day, before I was working in this industry, I always remember that it was always the clubs that would agree the deal, and then it would be the players' personal terms that would always be the stumbling block, didn't it? Whereas now, in this modern era, with all of the millions that are rolling around, it's flipped on its head completely, and personal terms are the very first thing that are agreed these days. So it's a situation now where it's the clubs that are rallying over the price, the fee, the structure of the payments. So it's, again, a situation where I think, look, it's going to be very difficult in terms of a Kim Min Jae signing, because at this moment in time, as you say, there's no one going to be able to sign him, because obviously his duties off the pitch. So look, it's a situation where if Manchester United can get their backsides in gear by the time that release clause is in play, they also will have a situation where they can agree, because they're going to offer exactly ridiculous money compared to
because if you know that your money's coming in,
so then
you're going to get a takeover.
Yeah,
as of tomorrow, funds will be available for them to act on the market. That the Kim Min Jae transfer, the release clause is opening on the 1st. What's this to say that it's been, because Ten Hag's camp has been keeping a very, very sealed door, like nothing comes out, no leaks, so nobody really knows, and I really applaud that. Right, the only thing that we have been hearing about is the Mason Mount story, because so. We will see, because there's no smoke without fire. And if I look at what it's not that I discredit Fabrizio Romano. He's been creating a brand and industry for himself, here we go, that kind of thing. But when it comes to German football and Bayern Munich, I look at Christian Falk. That's the thing. And Christian Falk hasn't tweeted anything. He's tweeted about Harry Kane a lot, though, if you go and look at it.
Just quickly, Jarvis has put a very good comment in there in terms of the buyout clause. Clubs don't have to agree on a fee. That is a very, very good point. And this is a situation, again, that could potentially help Manchester United, because they don't have to convince Bayern Munich, not Bayern Munich, Napoli, that, we'll pay more. It will then come down to not only the wages, which I think both teams will probably provide a lot in terms of a comparison to what he's currently on, but also then it comes down to Kim Min Jae. What project does he believe in? What does he want to join? And where does he think he can stamp his mark?
A point what Jarvis is saying, that it might come down to, okay, if the release clause is 45, it might come down to, okay, Bayern is offering 45, right? United comes and says, we will sweetening, we offer you 50. That is also plausible, right? And then you get both player at the end of the day, right? Cool. I want to move on because it's hit the likes, people. 36 likes. Come on, what's going on here? Matt Hargreaves it's time to take the world by storm. 100% Matt Hargreaves started 1 week ago, so he's in action. So it's going to be interesting to see. But I want to finish off. With the fluid transfer market and how things are interlinked before you go, Anil, because we started off the podcast by saying like how the transfer market is changing, ever changing. And absolutely. I want to bring a point that the Declan Rice sale, 105 million, is world record, British world record for a player, if that is going to happen. What's going on there? They're haggling about the structure of the payment. Arsenal wants to pay over 4 years. It's been reported that West Ham wants 18 months, right? But guess what? The interesting part in the transfer market is that how deals are linked to one sale. That's the thing. So those money that West Ham is going to get for Declan Rice, this 105 million is going to be reinvested in the squad. And guess who's on the wish list there for Moyes?
Scott McTominay. Go on, Mick, enlighten me.
Harry Kane.
Wow.
Harry Kane. He wants Harry Kane. So that money that they're going to get for Declan Rice is going to invest in Harry Kane. It's even reported that he's interested in Calvin Phillips from City. Potentially a Scott McTominay, but Scott McTominay is also linked to Newcastle. So slowly we're seeing that how transfer markets are moving. If you receive funds for that, then you can act on the market. So it looks like West Ham has something in it. Lo and behold, we know. If we can offload Harry Kane for 45-50, done deal. Here you go.
Yeah.
That Matt Hargreaves, no, hang on a second. You got 105 million pounds in your bank account now. Maybe we should up the bid really for Harry.
Yeah, exactly what happens to Manchester United all the time, isn't it? It's a really interesting one in terms of, as you said, the domino effect. Although Arsenal have been making quite a lot of movements in the last 48 hours or so, I do genuinely believe once one of the other clubs make a signing, it will then become a domino.
Kai Havertz as well. They signed for 75.
Officially announced.
So Kroenke must have gone to his wife piggy bank and just smashed it. And hey, wife, look that way.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's an interesting situation, isn't it? Certainly when we look at all of this.
Maguire, Mo.
Maguire, yeah. Well, I thought you were on about Maguire, but look, I think. Look, we'll round obviously everything off in terms of this Frankie de Jong situation. So, Mick,
wait, I'm going to come to that. The final point.
What do you want to say about Frankie de Jong here, Mick? You're not going to take me back to last summer, are you? Sure.
No, never going to give you up. Never going to let you down. Listen, it comes to the fluidity of the transfer market. It's what we were deluded like to say that, okay, we know we're going in for Mason Mount. We're lowering down the bait that we might not really be in for Caicedo, right? We're just throwing out the pressure on Chelsea. But what is this to say that in the back pocket of the ace of spades, what Ten Hag is holding, his cards, is going back for Frankie de Jong again as his prime target? Just putting out there because, reports coming out there again, it's brewing up. Like, Frankie de Jong is going to be forced out from Barcelona. Barcelona forced to sell. They're in financial troubles. It makes sense. It does make sense again.
It does.
Come home to Papa Eric. I don't personally want to go down the road, but if it's handled swiftly, let's say if you get a Sheikh Yassim goes and buy out Frankie's contract. You know what I mean? They go to La Liga. They go. So basically, he still owes half of that deferred wages, which was 18. They paid like half of that. But there's a way now, if you're not a public listed company, if you're going back to being a club, then you can do so those sort of things. What's your thought process? Do we dare to wish?
Do you know what, Mick? It's a situation that you do put a very, very strong point and an argument across in terms of obviously new ownership. Money won't be an issue. Man United won't be haggling over 4 to 10 million as they are with Mason Mount at this current moment in time. If Manchester United and Eric Ten Hag want that player, Sheikh Yassim and the Qataris will provide that player for Manchester United. But look, Frankie de Jong, do you know what? It's quite a frustrating one. I think you can remember from last season the amount of sources the amount of contacts that were saying, look, this is as good as done. He's agreed everything. This will be very close. But look, very quickly, I'll just finish on obviously the Frankie de Jong situation before obviously we wrap things up here.
Yep.
Look, this is a situation with Frankie de Jong that I was just not happy with at all last summer. Erik ten Hag chased him so much so that he almost affected the Casemiro deal. And now you look at a situation now where if Frankie de Jong came in rather than Casemiro, only God knows where Man United would have been without Casemiro last season. We definitely wouldn't be top 4. We wouldn't have had that trophy drought off the back of Manchester United fans. That would still be firmly there without Casemiro because, of course, he scored in the final. So, you know, if you want to take literal points, Casemiro was imperative to Manchester United. But look, I think one criticism, and it's one of very few criticisms when it comes to Erik ten Hag, was his pursuit of Frankie de Jong last summer. He spent way too long on a player who didn't want to make.
But there's a reason why he didn't.
Yeah, of course, and the ability is there for all to see. He's a brilliant player, and look, he was fantastic under Erik ten Hag at Ajax. But look, if he doesn't want to come to Manchester United, I don't care who it is. Don't come to Manchester United. We do not want players who want to come. And look, it's a situation where we could say, look, we can understand because we weren't in the Champions League then. So if he wants to play Champions League, we can respect that. He's a European player. He wants to play in a high level. But look, Martinez joined Manchester United when they didn't have European football in terms of Champions League. Casemiro joined Manchester United when we didn't have Champions League football. And now, with all due respect, Casemiro is on another planet to Frankie de Jong in terms of the success and the experience he's had on his career. So it's good if it's good enough for him to join. What was it not good enough for Frankie de Jong to join? But as you say, look, I think the whole host of potential names, interests, and transfers will open up massively if and when the Sheikh Yassin will take over and he will bring the money back to Manchester United for Erik ten Hag to spend it accordingly.
Yeah, no, I mean, we haven't, the international transfer window hasn't really opened, and buckle up because it's going to be one hell of a 360 spin. So I think we in for madness this season, what I've been told as well. But at the end of the day, I know this story what went on because for a certain contact that had very, very high up with his legal kind of representative. I'm not going to mention any names here, but the thing is, it's a fallacy to say that, you know, I didn't want to come, you know, he didn't want to come. Yes, you don't agree personal terms with the player. You don't go and speak to the club and agree a fee. Obviously, the player wants to come. Now, another thing plays a part because you are employed by employment law contract by Barcelona. So you're not allowed to speak that any other ways. Like, imagine if you know, the Barcelona fans are quite vicious, right? Like PSG fans as well. Oh, right. So you would not go out in public. Yeah. You don't go out in public to say, all you will say, yeah, I'm happy here. I'm happy here. You know what I mean? At the end of the story as well. Yeah. Barcelona is a beautiful city. I love Barcelona. Sun, sand, beach, everything. Good lifestyle.
I should go there in a few weeks, Mick.
Yeah, wicked.
If I see Frankie de Jong, I'll say, come on, mate.
Come back. That plays a big part.
With me.
But the thing is, in the transfer market, agents take care of the players. Agents make sure that the players' welfare is there. Like, you know, an agent is there to provide legal assistance. And if you're not getting paid your 18 million, you advise your player to stay put. And we will stay put, wait another year and see how we'll resolve it. So I wouldn't rule this one out because knowing that obsession of Ten Hag, you know, then they have each other's WhatsApp message. So we will see. I'm not going to get on that gravy train, to be honest. Let that play out, Anil. Let that play out because I got hurt last summer, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Listen, Anil, it's been a pleasure, man. We went over almost with 15 minutes, but when it comes to Manchester United and transfer talks, you know, the buck never stops, does it?
Absolutely. Like I always say to you, Mick, thanks a lot for asking me. Thanks a lot to this brilliant community as well that you've got built here. It's great to see everyone get involved.
Absolutely.
For you to allow a platform for everyone to have their comments and their say, no matter what they are, if they're serious or funny or just interesting. It's brilliant to see. So congratulations on everything that you've achieved. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks where we hopefully, as I said last time, we'll have a couple of transfers and who knows, maybe even a takeover to sink our teeth in.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Next time I see you. Thank you, Anil. And big up for the community. Big up for Anil for coming on. It's what we always said. We had our say. And now we're giving back your day. This has been Mick and Anil Kandola. Please follow Anil Kandola on, where can they find you, Anil?
Yep, Twitter, Instagram, all the social media. It's literally my name, as it says at the top there, Anil Kandola. I've got my own podcast, the Content Podcast. We will be getting some solid content coming out in the coming weeks and months. So yeah, please be sure to give that a little like and subscribe as well. But yeah, like I said, Mick, thanks once again. Thanks to everyone in this chat, and we will be meeting again, hopefully with a Qatari flag behind my head somewhere.
Let's get giddy, right? Thank you, Anil, for coming on
No
today,
problem,
and I wish you a fantastic day. Goodbye, people, and see you in the next stream. Bye for now. Bye. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching Mufc Realist TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on the socials.